Hello and welcome to episode 136 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. How have you been, guys? I know it's been a little while once again, I know. I think the last time I did an episode, it was early October. So we just have holidays happening all over the place. We had Halloween. Let me know down in the comments how your Halloween went if you celebrated. Ours went very well. Kira had a great time. She didn't go out quite as long as last year. She kind of got fed up after a street or two. But yeah, it was all good. The weather wasn't too bad. I think I should have a picture. So if I have a picture, I'll just pop one up over on the side there. We were able to reuse some costumes we already had. So Kira went as a monkey and Avery went as a banana. And I have to say, we have gotten some good mileage out of that banana costume. So that was basically the rest of our October. We are almost at the end of November now. I believe today is the American Thanksgiving, so if you are celebrating that, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, while I'm recording this, you guys are all probably getting your dinners ready and cooking your turkeys and stuff, but yeah, I won't be doing that today. What are we having today? I think I have a meal box and we're having some sloppy joes. So, but this weekend we have some family stuff going on, some early holiday dinners and parties and stuff, so that'll be fun. So yeah, it is, like I said, the end of November, almost the end of November, and I just wanted to get one last episode in before the start of Vlogmas. If you've been a long-time viewer, you know in December that Avery and I, and now Kira, we like to do a little Vlogmas, our own little Vlogmas. I don't post every day, but I do like to do some videos, and I'll talk about more about that at the end, I think. But I did want to get in one more, like a regular episode before that happened, kind of to catch you up on what I've been working on so that we can kind of go into Vlogmas with a clean slate of stuff. And then yeah, what do I have to share with you today? I do have my goals from last episode, so we're going to go over that and then we'll see what I actually worked on, because to be honest, I didn't feel like I worked on a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of things going on, just, you know, this time of year and then also in the world that takes up a lot of space in your brain, and I haven't had a lot of motivation to knit other than on things that I knew I had to work on. So let's start with my goals from last episode. My goals were to get my fiber started, to get my Muppet microstripe socks completely finished, to get on the sock blank socks that I was working on, the first sock done and the second one started, and then to just finish that exploration station, just get that done, out of the whip pile, done, complete, you know, finito. So those were my goals. And let's start, spoiler, I did meet some goals, but I didn't meet everything. And then I worked on things that I wasn't even planning on working on. I cast on a new project, and that's gonna be fun to talk about. I'm actually really excited about the new project. So where do we start? Let's start with socks. And I'm going to start with the socks that you guys have seen, and so that we can talk about my progress. And that is my Muppets microstripe socks. Now, even though these colors don't look like anything to do with Muppets, if you're a new viewer, like, why the heck are those Muppet socks? It's because the main skein that I'm using, which is this one, was sent in a Muppet themed club that I got years ago. But I've had this skein for so many years, and I've always known that I wanted to make myself socks with this because I just love these colors. So a couple months ago, July, because I started these as my birthday socks, I finally sat down. I was like, I am going to make these socks. And because I've been all about the microstripe socks this year, I knew I wanted to do microstripes. So I dyed this yarn here to go with it because I had a very specific vision of what color I wanted to pair with these like bright kind of sunsetty colors. I wanted like a tealy aqua turquoise kind of color. And I have been working on these socks diligently since July, but then other things happen, and you know, there's no deadline on these, so sometimes they're not the biggest priority. I think in the last episode I was almost done the first sock. I have a feeling that I was down here almost at the toe, somewhere, you know, maybe 30 rows away from the toe, and then the toe. So I did finish the first sock, as you can see. And I really do love how the aqua looks with these stripes. You can see I got my little strong heel in there. I did a little contrast heel flap and then also a contrast toe. But I am so happy with how these are turning out. But if you remember, I said in my goals I wanted to have the second sock done, like the whole pair done, because last episode I mentioned how I had another pair of microstripe socks that I knew I wanted to do, and I didn't want to be working on them both at the same time, which is why I wanted to finish these first before casting on that pair. But you will see next why these are not done. So let's just talk about what I was able to finish. So I finished the first sock, and then I did cast on for the second sock. I got the cuff done and I started microstriping. You can see I've got a couple, I don't know, maybe like 10 rows done. And that's when I realized that time was running out and I should probably put these aside, because my next project is the other pair of microstripe socks that I had talked about. So yeah, I think I mentioned how this year I've been able to knit a lot more socks than I have been in the past couple of years. And my goal this year is to have 2 pairs of socks for my brothers for Christmas, for each brother for Christmas. And I only had one more brother left that I had to do a second pair of socks for, and I wanted to make him a microstripe pair of socks. And I had an idea of what kind of microstriping I wanted to experiment with, and I was very excited about it, but I didn't want to have them going at the same time. At some point while I was working on my Muppet socks, I realized, if I keep spending my time on these socks until they're done, by the time I get to cast on my brother's socks, I don't know if it's going to be, you know, a real rush, a real push by Christmas to get his pair done. So I decided just to put mine aside and cast on the ones from my brother, so that I knew for sure I'd have November and December to get those done, and then I could come back to the Muppet ones if I had time. So my brother's socks, I'm so excited about this. So I wanted to try a new yarn combination for his microstripe socks. If you've been following me all year, you know I've done a couple of different types of combinations. There's, you know, the one that I think I still like. I don't know if I can say I like it best, but I think the effect is the clearest is when you pick a striping yarn and then a solid yarn to microstripe in. I've done, you know, variegated yarns with a solid. I've done sock blanks with a solid. I did try speckles, and I wasn't crazy about the speckles because there wasn't any change in, you know, as you knit, there wasn't much change. It still looked nice, but I've been trying all different things. And then the last thing I wanted to try before the end of the year was 2 striping yarns. I just thought it would be so cool to see how the colorway, the striping colorway of one paired with the colorway, you know, striping of another sock yarn, when those meshed, because it would spread out the striping, just how that would look. So my vision was with one sock to have the cuff done completely in one of the striping yarns, to microstripe the striping yarns for the leg and the foot, and then maybe for the heel and the toe to pick one of each of the striping yarns to showcase. And then the other sock, I would pick the opposite yarn for the cuff, microstripe both striping yarns for the leg and the foot, and then do opposite heels and toes depending on. If that made any sense at all. Hopefully once you see what I'm doing, it will. So the next challenge was to pick some yarn, because for this particular brother, I didn't want anything too wacky crazy, so I didn't want to pick 2 wildly different striping yarns. Also, with microstripe socks, I find they show the best when there's distinct color differentiation, so I didn't want to pick 2 striping yarns where even one of the colors between the 2 yarns was similar. So what I landed on was this one here as my, well, I can't even say it's as my main color, because they're both going to be kind of used in similar, you know, proportions. But this was the more kind of neutral one that I found, that I could pick any other striping yarn to go with. And I actually have some labels for you guys. I'm prepared this time. So this is Biscot Yarns, and I believe they're based in Quebec, and I did check and they still have a website, and they're still dying. They've got lots of beautiful things, but I was looking to see if by chance they had this color, and it doesn't look like they have like this kind of neutral, just like black and white and gray, because I think it's working really well for this application. But yeah, so I had this one, and I don't remember buying this, so I'm pretty sure I got this in a swap, but because this was just so like neutral, I knew I could pick another yarn and not, as long as that yarn didn't have any black, gray, or white stripes, the effect in my head, I was like, okay, it should work out. So that was my first yarn. And then the second yarn I chose, because I didn't want anything too wacky, too colorful for this particular brother, was this yarn here. And this one is from Scrumptious Pearl, and I actually do have the label still from this. And this colorway is called Peter Pan, The Lost Boys. I believe this, I know this was from a club. There was one Christmas where I asked Dennis for Christmas to get me this, it was a 3-month club, and I don't know if it was based on Disney. It had to have, Peter Pan, it had to have had something to do with Disney. But this particular color was based on Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. And I thought, you know, these are colors that I think my brother would like, and then mixed with the black and grays and whites and creams and all that, the colors should be able to, you should be able to see all the colors. So that's what I did. Those are the 2 yarns that I decided to combine. Try and imagine in your head how this looks in a microstripe sock, okay? So I was able to cast on, and I decided to start with the black and white. And to be honest, I mean, I was pretty sure this was a striping yarn just because of how it looked in the skein, but I thought it was going to be kind of a regular striping yarn where, you know, you had a band of black, a band of gray, a band of cream, and then maybe back to a band of black, a band of whatever. And it's actually one that kind of fades in, the colors fade into each other. So this is what the cuff looks like here. You can see I started with the black, and then it fades into the gray, goes into the cream, and then it kind of reverses back. So it's not what I was expecting, but it's still striping, so it's still working. It's just, yeah, so that's how the cuff turned out. It's actually pretty cool. So there's your cuff, and then here is where I started blending the 2 striping yarns in with each other. So you can see how the stripes really get stretched out. So, you know, you've got your black to your gray to your cream, and then back to your black. And then the Lost Boys one is, you know, you got your yellow, it goes to green, to your lighter green, and then to your blue, and then back. So this is how it is turning out, and I think it looks pretty cool. So I have been able to get through my heeling creases here, and you know, I like to do them with the reverse stocking net. And I was able, the other night, maybe last night, I don't know, 1 or 2 nights ago, I was able to get through the heel turn, and I decided just to use the Peter Pan yarn as the heel turn. And then now that I've joined back in the round, I've started micro striping them again. So I am working down the foot now, and for my brothers, I like to do 75 rows on the foot before doing the toe. And I'm gonna try and work on these now, because like over the next couple of days, like really put my time into these, because I would love to have the first sock done by the end of November, so that going into December, I'm working on that second sock. So it's gonna give me the best chance to have it finished for when I get together with my family for Christmas. We don't usually get together before actual Christmas Day, so it should give me an extra, you know, an extra day or 2 leeway. But if you have kids and you do the whole Christmas thing, you know there's so much preparation, there's so much that goes on in December, that I know that like I really need to take the time where I can and push through these, so that I'm not going to, I want to have these finished by the time we get together for Christmas. So that is my second pair of socks. I did share with you in the last episode my sock blank socks. I haven't touched those. Actually, did I bring them somewhere? Those are kind of my on-the-go socks right now. Like if I go to someone's house or if I'm out, I think I brought them with us. So late October, we went to celebrate our Thanksgiving with Dennis's family, and they're about, you know, just shy of a 2-hour drive from here. And I think I brought them with me to work on in the car, and then while there, and then I might have brought them to my mom's another time to knit. I don't know. I've knit on them a little bit, but not enough to really show. So yeah, and those are going to be, obviously those are going to be kind of put on put to the side for now as well. So I have worked on knitting wise 2 other things, and then I have done some spinning. So I'm going to let's share this next, because I wasn't planning on knitting on this, but then it occurred to me, if you do watch my Vlogmas every year, you'll know that I usually do an Advent swap with some friends of mine, and we include minis in the swap. And I had been putting aside all the extra bits of my sock yarns that I've used throughout the year. I've been putting them in a little basket, and it occurred to me, oh my goodness, I need to start winding those balls and getting my Advent boxes ready. And before I can do that, before I know how much yarn I have to be able to wind into minis, I need to put what I need to put into my mitered square blanket. So this is something that I have been working on for years, and I like to put the extras of all the projects that I make with fingering weight yarn into this blanket. And every year, if you are a new viewer, every year I do a black border. Let's see, here's one right here. I do a black border to kind of close off whatever section I was able to finish that year, so that the next year I'm working on a new section. And I haven't touched this in a couple of months, and so I wanted to catch up on my my extra yarn bits and put them in this blanket, so I knew what I could put into the minis for my Advent swap. So I picked this back up again, and I had actually completed a full row. So this is the first square that I did at the start of the year. These were my January, the first pair of socks I knit for the year for my brother. And so I had put in a couple, you might recognize some of the yarns with some of the socks that I've been working on, and the microstripe socks that I've been working on. And this here was my last square. So I had to go back up here to the next row and add some stitches and stuff to make a new mitered, kind of a new row here. And I started putting in some of the other yarn bits. So you might remember that this was a pair of socks. This is the other pair of socks that I made for my brother Ian. So I got those 2 yarns in. These were the microstripe pair that I made for Evan, so I got those 2 in. And then this was the other pair that I made for Evan with the sock blank, and then the contrast. And so I got that in. So now I just have one more on the edge here before I need to go up to the next row. And I can take a break from this for now because I was able to get all the minis that I needed for my Advent kind of done. So I can now put this aside for a minute before I add in more of my yarn extras. So that's one of the things that I worked on. And those little squares, like you think, oh, they're little squares, I should be able to, like, you know, knock a bunch of them out in an evening. They take longer than you think. I think can I do one in an evening? I think if I have a complete uninterrupted evening to myself, I could probably do one whole square in one evening. But generally speaking, it takes about 2 days. 2 evenings and a little bit during the day. It takes about 2 days to get one square done. So that's you know, that's a good week or so of knitting right into that project there. The other knitting project that I have to share with you, and this is an exciting one, and I hope you guys were expecting and hoping that I might finish this. I really tried. I was like, I'm determined to finish the exploration station for my next episode, because this has just been going on way too long. I think this is the one that, yeah, I think I started this in 2019, and then I finally picked it up earlier this year, and I really enjoy working on it. This is, like I said, the exploration station from Stephen West. This is the second time that I have knit this pattern, and I did it, I decided to do it this time in a worsted weight because I wanted a huge, chunky, warm shawl. The fingering weight one I wear all the time in the winter, and I just wanted a bigger one. I wanted a squishier one. And so that's this thing is ginormous. I think I'm gonna have to insert a picture to give you the full scale, but I'll show you what I finished working on. So let's just do a recap of the whole thing. So the exploration station, wonderful pattern. If you ever want to do a shawl, and I'm not a big shawl knitter, I highly recommend this one. You start with some wedges up at the top there, and then you go into just a little bit of brioche. It's nothing too complicated, nothing too overwhelming. I think if you're new to brioche, it's a good start because you're not doing brioche in the round, you're just doing it back and forth. And this is where I picked the project back up after several years, and I had to like relearn brioche and get myself into it, and I was able to do that. So that is the brioche section. Then you have this section here where there is some texture, and then you go into this section where there's some garter stitch ridges, and then you have the final section, which is a lace border. Now, the lace border, this is the thing that was that hung me up finishing this project. If you remember in the last episode, I said that I kept putting it off because I knew I would have to sit down and figure out the lace pattern, and I don't really enjoy lace knitting, but it's just something I had to do. And that's what I did. I finally sit down one night, and it's funny because I thought I was on the row that where I would be able to start the lace right away, and so I counted my stitches, and then when I looked at the pattern, my stitch count was completely off, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what did I do? How am I going to fix this? I am not ripping this back. Do I need to adjust the lace, the repeats? Like, what am I going to do? But then I realized that I had not completely finished the last section, and I still had to do, after each section, there is this little border of color A, the main kind of color, and I hadn't done that yet. So once I did that row, then my stitch count was perfect and I could go in with the lace. However, even though I took the time to put markers in so that I could keep track of all my little yarn overs, I think this pattern actually uses double yarn overs, so the holes are much bigger. Even though I used markers to try and make it easier for me, this is not, I don't swear on this channel, but I totally bleeped the lace up. So I think it's actually because I used markers, and I think I put the markers on the wrong side of where the double yarn over happened, and so everything just got kind of shifted over whenever that yarn over happened. And so instead of going straight up and down, where you see kind of those yarn overs going in a line, that line is supposed to go straight up and down, and mine go over to, mine are on an angle, so they kind of go like this way instead of this way. I figured that out maybe 3 or 4 rows into the lace, and I decided that I just didn't care enough to rip the lace out and refigure, like, I forgot how many stitches, there's like 300 some stitches on this thing, and I just wasn't gonna bother. I'm like, you know what, the way I'm gonna wear it kind of wrapped around my neck and just kind of in this big puddle, no one's gonna know, no one's gonna care, no one's gonna see it, I'm not even gonna see it, I'm not gonna care, so I just let it go. Besides, it is kind of going in its own pattern, like everything is in a row, it's just in the wrong direction, right? So I finished this. Oh my goodness, this is finally another work in progress that has been sitting for years and years and years and years and years and years that I have finally finished. And I have to say, all that considered, I am so happy with this. I actually did wear it last weekend. We had our local Santa Claus parade, and it was a chilly day. It wasn't freezing cold or anything, but it was chilly, and I just wrapped that thing around me, and we walked over and we watched our parade, and it was glorious. So I can't wait to get more use out of it this winter, as the weather continues to drop. So that is done. And then finally, the only other thing that I think I need to share with you is my spinning. I am not going to bring my wheel all the way over here. It is very nicely tucked away on its shelf up there, but I do have the fiber. And yeah, I mentioned this last episode that I decided, I think we did a coin toss, right? We did a coin toss. This is the one that won, and I have been spinning this, and I have been thoroughly enjoying it. It's some Fat Cat knit fibers. What was it? I don't remember what the fiber was. I'll talk about the fiber when I finally finish the spinning, or actually in Vlogmas. Maybe in Vlogmas I'll talk about what the actual fiber is. I do know it's superwash. I don't think it's a superwash merino. I think it's like Polworth or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I know it's superwash. But yeah, so I've been working on this, and I've sat down at my wheel and worked on it a couple of times. I had 6 ounces of fiber, And so I will pop in a little picture here. I took a picture of what it's looking like on my wheel so far, and I am spinning it at a thicker single at the moment. I kind of have, you know how if you spin you'll kind of understand this, but there's like, you have your default thickness of a single, like that you tend to if you just sit down with no goal in mind. I find that I have like this default thickness of fiber that I spin. And so my goal with this is to spin slightly thicker than that default size, because I'm planning on doing a 2-ply, and so I want it to be a thicker finished yarn. And that will likely happen in December. So if you follow along with my Vlogmas, you'll be able to see that. And my goal is to finish this yarn. I'm getting a package. If you just heard that thud, I don't know if the mic would have picked that up, but I just got a package, so that's exciting. I'll have to go see what that is. But yeah, I'm hoping to get this done during Vlogmas, finish it off so that I can mark it off on my bingo card. So yeah, I think that is all the spinning and knitting and crafting that I've been working on for the last month or so. And this is, like I said, this is going to be the last episode before December. If you have followed our Vlogmases before, then you'll kind of know what to expect. If you're new, I'll just kind of give you a little rundown in case you want to join us. I know it's very popular to do a short video every day in December for most people who do Vlogmas. We tend to do a longer video that will cover a couple of days. So my first video for Vlogmas probably won't go up on December 1st. It will go up on maybe December 3rd or 4th, because we have a lot that happens at the beginning of December. Dennis's birthday is on the 1st, Avery's birthday is on the 2nd. I don't know what's happening on the 3rd, but usually there's usually stuff going on those for, we have to do our decorating and stuff on the, I know we have friends coming over on the 3rd to help us with our tree decorating and stuff. A lot happens. So I'm not getting up daily videos. So yeah, we do a couple, I record videos for a couple of days, put them all together. So every 3 to 4, maybe 5 days, a little video will go up and just let you know what we've been up to, preparing for the holidays, recipes that we try, movies, just that we spend a lot of our time at home. So really, it's not going to be that exciting, but I enjoy it. And I do it mostly for us too, because I really have fun. Avery especially just loves going back and watching our older Vlogmas videos and just seeing how much she has changed, especially with Kira here now, how much Kira has changed in the last couple of years. She was just a little baby, and then last year she was older, and she'll be able to participate so much more this year. So really, I do it for us, and then I know a couple of you really enjoy following along as well. So that will be starting in early December. And then is there anything else? I don't think so. I think the only other thing that I want to do at the end of this video is sit down, and I'll probably take you over to my laptop, and we are going to do a little bingo update. I want to update my card going into Vlogmas so that, whatever I work on a vlog. Oh, that's the other thing with Vlogmas. So I do update you on any kind of little crafts, any kind of little things that I work on, any knitting that I do. At the end of each Vlogmas episode, I kind of update you on what I've been working on for those couple of days. And so you kind of get little updates on my knitting and stuff like that throughout Vlogmas. And then at the end of Vlogmas, I will do another regular episode so that if you don't want to join us for Vlogmas, that you'll kind of get a wrap up as well of what I worked on over the couple of weeks of December. So yes, before going into Vlogmas, I want to do one last bingo update, because there's a couple of things that I know, I don't think I finished anything today that I can put on it, but there's a couple of things from last episode that I didn't add to my card yet. So I thought we could do that together and just see, maybe talk about what I think I might finish over Vlogmas, what things I might be able to add, because December is the last month for me to kind of get those goals met and make those bingos before a new season of Crafty Bingo starts in January. So I think that's it. That's all I need to talk about for now. I hope you guys have had a wonderful couple of weeks and you've been doing all the things, all the crafting, all the baking, all the, shopping, whatever you need to do to bring you joy. And I will see you in just about a week for a Vlogmas. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, so let's do my bingo card update This is the way that it was left last time. I haven't done any updating to it. And I know there's at least 2 squares that I can change. And then I think we'll just talk about the remaining squares and see what I think about if I'm going to be able to complete them by the end of the year or not, and work on them in December. We'll kind of talk about that after. So the first square that I know I have worked on is this one right here, and it's the Finish the Pre-2023 whip. This can be filled in from my exploration station. So now that that is done, I can knock that off. So we are going to just do our little check mark, and then that is another square. And did that give me another row? I think that just gave me another row going horizontally there. So that's exciting. So then I think the other one I can do is this one down here. So more gift bags for Kira. If you remember in the last episode, I showed those. So we can fill that one in. So we'll fill in the background, add our little check mark, and there we go. And look at that, that gives me another row. Okay, so I got another horizontal row there. So let's look at the card as a whole again. I have 5 squares left. I think this is the best that I've done all the last couple of years that I've done the Crafty Bingo Challenge. I think even last year, by the end of the year, I still had 7 squares left maybe. So I've already done so much better than I have in the past. And I think part of that is just giving myself smaller goals. I tend to be a little bit of an overachiever when it comes to goals and thinking what I can get done in a year. So let's see what we have left. We'll start at the top here. So on that top row there, we have make a needle felted ornament. I do think that I will be able to finish that square by the end of the year because I plan on doing that during Vlogmas. I even picked out kind of a, not a design because it's like I didn't find a tutorial or anything that I'm going to be following. I found like a motif, I guess maybe, that I want to do, just something, a little critter. I'll give you a little hint there. There's a little critter that I would like to make for our Christmas tree. So I have an idea what I want to do for that, and I know once I sit down, I can do needle felting in over a day or 2. So I do think that is going to be finished. The one beside it, random project. I mean, technically that can be anything, but I really don't know what that's going to be. I mean, I could make it the pair of socks that I finished for my brother over December. If I finish those, I could make that the random project. If you remember, I had several squares on my card geared towards socks, but I've completed them all. So technically that could be another pair of socks. I would kind of like it to be something else. Like I like my random projects being just, you know, something that I wasn't planning in the year, and I do plan to make socks, so that I just don't find that's a very exciting way to finish off that square. But if I make nothing else in December and a pair of socks will finish off that square, then I will make that square the pair of socks. So going down here, we have spin 2 skeins of fiber. You will have seen I am working on that second skein, and I do think I can finish that in the month of December. So I think that square will be finished. Next, we have used 2 patterns from my PDF library. And the one where it says work in progress, that's my chameleon. And my poor chameleon has been neglected for months. And if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I just can't see myself working on the chameleon over December. There's just going to be so many other things. Now, if I can find a pattern in my PDF library that is smaller, like a little stuffy or something like that, that I think I can finish over the month, I mean, I could make that instead. And if it's something I wasn't planning, then maybe I could also use the random project. That could go for my random project square too. So that's an idea. I might have to kind of rethink this square and look through my PDF library and pick another pattern, and then maybe the chameleon can carry over till next year, because I don't know. I don't see myself finishing the chameleon over December. And then finally we have this one here, which is add all of my current yarn into my granny square blanket. And I do plan on doing that because if you've watched other Vlogmases, usually during December, I work on, so I add in all the previous years minis. So all the minis and stuff that I've saved up this year and that I got in my last advent calendars, I try and add to my granny stripe blanket over December, so that next year will be a fresh batch. So I have my basket of scraps and advent minis from last year, and my goal is just to work on that all month and get all of those little scraps into my granny stripe blanket. So I think I can finish that. So really, that just means that I have the one square that I am unsure of, which is the PDF pattern one. So you know what? I might just take over the weekend. I might have a look through my library and just see if there's anything that I might want to make. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to buckle down and work on that chameleon if I really, really want to do to blank out my card. So that's it. That's the update for now. Hopefully you'll follow along during December and see how I do. But if not, and I will just quickly mention, if you're not familiar with Crafty Bingo, keep an eye out on the Bling Your String group and on the episode near the beginning of the year, probably the last episode of December. I'll probably be talking about it again and just give you some more ideas about what it is if you want to join for 2024. So that's my card right now, and I am so excited about my progress, and I can't wait to see what it looks like by the end of December. Alright guys, so here's a little early Vlogmas type content for you. In the video you might have seen me mention that a package arrived. Well, I opened it up and this is what it is, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this game, which sounds silly because we're not huge board game people, but every year for Christmas I try and get a new family game that will potentially be one that we will actually all enjoy playing, which is such a challenge because we all have different game styles. Avery really likes action type games. She doesn't want to like sit and think about things, and she just wants a fun action type game. Kira obviously has limited abilities in terms of like understanding the concept of games and just what you need to do and like how to play certain things. So some certain games are just not, she's not able to play as part of the family. Dennis, he just, okay, what can I say? He just doesn't like losing. I really enjoy strategy games, and he really doesn't like losing in strategy games. He always thinks, especially when I'm helping Avery learn strategies and stuff like that, that we're ganging up on him, and he could be a bit of a sore loser. So it's kind of hard to find games that we can all participate in, that we can all have fun in, but still have a way where no one person has an advantage, if that makes sense. And I saw this game on Instagram, of course, and I was able to locate it at a Canadian supplier. If you guys are in the US, I think I saw this on Amazon in the US. It was not on Amazon in Canada, but because this is Black Friday weekend, I happened to be able to get a pretty good deal on it, and yeah, I think I ordered it like yesterday, so it was super fast shipping. But why I thought this would work for us, and I'll explain it, and maybe this is something, if you enjoy family games and you maybe have some of the same challenges that we do, maybe this would be a good game for you guys too. So it is essentially, and one of the things I really liked about this is just watching the video of the people playing it, you could immediately understand how to play. I don't enjoy games where you have to go through these big, long rule explanations, and then anytime you want to sit down, you have to explain the rules to everybody again. Like, I want something that you can just understand and get right to it, and this is kind of like that. Basically, you see there's this little kind of playing board here, and the concept is 3 in a row. You're just trying to get, it's like tic-tac-toe, you're trying to get 3 in a row. However, instead of placing the pieces specifically, you have these little ramps. So you would put your little chip on the ramp, and it would go down, and then it would fly in the air, and then it lands somewhere on the board. And so I like how simple the concept is. It's basically like tic-tac-toe. However, there's some element of chance with it, because even if you try and aim your little ramp here, let's say this like blue player here, even though they might aim their ramp to get the chip here, the chip could fall there, but then roll over here and end up being there. And the chips will just stack. I think it said up to 5 chips can stack in each hole. So you just take turns, and you just, you know, put your chips in. Everybody's trying to get 3 in a row of their color. I liked that there was 4 different colors, so we can all play. And like, I think even Kira could play this game. Like, she'd be able to put the coins in here. I don't know if at stores, if you've seen those things at the stores where you put a coin in. A lot of times they're for charity, and you put a coin in at the top, and then it kind of goes wee, and it goes all the way down into, like, you know, the money pit basically. Kira can do those things. So like, I know that she can put a coin in this and have it fly, and she might not understand the concept of trying to get 3 in a row, but she'll be able to participate. And then for Dennis, and not liking to lose with strategy games, there's still an element of chance with this, because even if I, you know, or Avery, we try and plan our placement, it could still go somewhere else. So nobody can make themselves win, right? It's like a fun little action game. So it's an action game, which I think Avery will like. There's some strategy involved, which I like. There's still some chance involved, so, you know, Dennis can take a chill pill, and Kira can participate too. So, oh my goodness, Kira is in the room, and she is just bouncing on my chair, so I apologize if you hear the squeaking. But I'm excited on this game find. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for us, and the other thing I liked is that you don't have to play with 4 people. Avery and I could just play the 2 of us. Yeah, so that is the game Flyfecta, and maybe near the end of Vlogmas, once it's opened up, we'll play around for you guys, and maybe on Christmas Day we'll play around, and you can see how it goes. So yeah, little bonus pre-Vlogmas clip there for you.